Hi, so here I am in Pamber Forest, one of my favourite places for butterfly hunting, and I thought I'd give you a quick summary of how I go about looking for White Admiral larvae and eggs at this time of year, because now's the perfect time to look for them. Pamber Forest itself is just fantastic because it's got a good variety of coppicing and deciduous woodland generally that the White Admirals just love. In fact, there's some recent work just gone on behind me here. So the forest changes from year to year, and every time I come to look for the larvae, I need to move around and find out where the honeysuckle that the larvae feed on really is looking good for them. So I thought I'd show you a few highlights. So the first thing to look for is the right type of honeysuckle if you're looking for eggs and larvae of the White Admiral. So what it doesn't use is honeysuckle growing in full sun, and especially flowering honeysuckle. What it prefers is wispy growths of honeysuckle, often growing under the tree canopy. So if I bring you over here, I've just happened to have found a larva, which I think is second instar, on a twig here, which I've just marked with a piece of string. Because I monitor these guys over the winter, see how they're getting on in their hibernacular. And at the end of this leaf, you can just about see, hopefully, a very small second instar caterpillar sitting on what appears to be the midrib of the leaf, but it's actually an extension forward of the leaf that it creates, which is sometimes called a pier, that's made out of silk and frass, and that's an obvious defence against predators. And this kind of feeding damage makes it very, very easy to find White Admiral larvae in good spots at this time of year. So here we are, definitely within the tree canopy, and you wouldn't think many butterflies fly in this kind of landscape, but White Admiral females certainly do when they're egg laying. One of the things I just wanted to show you is I've just found another larva on this leaf here, and there's a first instar larva just at the tip, and again you can see the typical feeding damage here. But one of the things you might notice at the top left of the leaf here, where my thumb is a white dot, which is just catching the light, and that's actually the remains of the eggshell. So that's the egg base, and what happens is when the larva hatches, it eats the egg and then it crawls around the edge of the leaf until it gets to the tip, and then it starts to nibble away and create the pier that we see there that it's sitting on. So I think I've just hit White Admiral Central here, because I'm finding caterpillars at quite a high rate at the moment, like one every few minutes. And it's funny because when you get used to these guys, you find that White Admirals will reuse the same honeysuckle sprays year after year, which is the case here, where I've actually got two larvae. There's one here, which seems to be growing a new pier off another leaf. It was originally there, and there's another caterpillar just here, if I can get it in focus. Nope. But I'll have to take it from me. Well, that's a second instar caterpillar just there, and again with the typical feeding damage. So probably the summary here is that, like many butterflies, the White Admiral females will use a surprisingly small subset of available food plants, because there is honeysuckle all around me here on this particular spray. But the White Admiral is only laid on this particular spray just here, which is just typical. And if I were to pan around here, you'll have to again take it from me that there is honeysuckle just everywhere here, but hardly any of them are currently being used, despite me finding quite good numbers of larvae as I'm looking at the moment. So one of the other things that you'll notice is that the larvae are in very different instars. So here, if I can just put a shadow against it, we have the first third instar larva that I found. This is when the spines on the larva really come to the fore, and you can see it sitting quite prominently there at the end of its leaf on its pier. So very nice to see. This one's actually in partial shade, so it is catching the sun every now and again, but the honeysuckle itself isn't in full sun, which, as I said earlier, is the key requirement for this species. So just behind this third Instar larva, as the pier starts to meet the main part of the leaf again, you'll see what appears to be just a dead piece of leaf. This is actually something known as an aerial latrine, which the larva uses to store its frass, and it's thought that the silk that surrounds the latrine neutralises any scent given off by the frass, which contains partially digested honeysuckle leaf. And it's also thought that the larva may actually use this as a store of frass that it uses to extend its pier when it needs to. So sometimes you'll come across a larva that has gone and crawled into its latrine and it's covered in frass on its back. Now, we don't know that this is the case, but you know, this is an interesting characteristic of this particular larva, this species, that it does have this, both the pier and the aerial latrine here. Absolutely fascinating. Look at that, what a beauty.